back to answering questions on grade 12 poems. So today's poem is IINVERSNAID. Now, as you know, we do not read the poem, but we rather just skip right to the questions. So 6.10 says, read the poem carefully and then answer the questions which follow. The number of marks allocated to each question serves as a guide to the expected length of your answer. Now, this statement that says you must heed to the number of marks allocated to each question, you guys tend to dismiss it, and I believe that by doing so, you are literally rejecting half of the marks that you should be getting, because if you do not tend to check the allocation for the answer or the number of marks allocated to each question, you are more likely to make mistakes in terms of answering. So now, let us go to the questions. Now, 6.10.1 says, read the poem as a whole and choose the meaning from column B that matches the word in column A. And in column A, we are given the terms, and in B, we are given the descriptions. So in column A, on A, let me write 6.10.1. Let me increase the intensity of this. And then we have 6.10.1 and we have A. Now, A says IINVERSNAID. If you have read the summary of this poem, you would know that to write, the author was inspired by the village in which he had visited in, I think it is the Scottish area is there. So the answer to A would be C. C says a village in the remote Scottish Highlands, right? And then we have B. B says twindles. If you check the movement or you check what twindles means, it would mean that rather to move in a flipping, I could say flipping or turning or tossing manner. So here we would say the answer to B would be the movement of the froth. Now, why am I choosing the answer to A? It is because here we are told that a wind puff bonnet of fawn froth turns and twirls over the broth. And this wind puff bonnet is the image created by the water as it is moving along the stream, and it forms the image of a bonnet. And this bonnet twirls and turns, right? So hence we are going to describe it as the movement of froth in the stream. And the answer here is A. And then we have C. C is decked. The answer to C would be A, which is to water a plant by sprinkling. And then we have D. D says broth. Well, if you sometimes cook, or you're a chef, or you know your way around the kitchen, you would know what a broth means. Now, a broth is that soup that is produced in the stew that you'll be making, or whatever it is that you'll be doing in the kitchen. That includes water and, let's say, meat or vegetables and everything. So here, the correct answer, I believe the best suited answer to this would be B, because it tells us that it is an image of the dark colored water which looks like a soup. You are even told that it looks like a soup. So if you relate this broth or this statement to what you do in the kitchen, you would see that it makes sense. So the answer to this is B. And we are moving forward. As we are moving forward, let's go to 6.10.2. 6.10.2. Now this question says, refer to line 5 and in A, identify the figure of speech used in this line. Let's go to line 5. Line 5 reads that a wind puff bonnet of fawn froth. As I have said earlier, that this statement represents the image formed on the stream or formed in the stream as the water is moving along the line. So we could say that in order to not give the literal meaning of the stream or the water, would say a wind puff bonnet. So they used a metaphor. Figure of speech here is a metaphor. Okay, let's go to B. B says, explain why this figure of speech is relevant. We can say that the figure of speech is relevant because the froth, which is foam pushed by the wind, looks like a lady's bonnet. And we can say, and it is fun. It's fun. You can say that it is fun. Or you can say it is soft tan in color. Right, we proceed to 6.10.3. What does it say? It says refer to stanza 5 and choose the correct answer to complete the following sentence. And it says the description in this stanza shows that A, the speaker is looking at a dry riverbed. B, the speaker admires the natural landscape around him. C, the place is dark and dangerous. And D, the hills are blocking the brook's beauty. So let us go to stanza 3. Stanza 3 reads that decked with dew, dappled with dew are the groins of the braes that the brook treads through, wiry heathpacks, flitches of fern, and the big bonny ash that sits over the burn. And now let us go to the statement again. It says, at A you have, the speaker is looking at a dry riverbed. This is definitely and most obviously incorrect because we are told that the riverbed is decked with dew. So this is incorrect. Now we have B. B says the speaker admires the natural landscape around him. This one makes more sense compared to A. And C says the place is dark and dangerous. And D says the hills are blocking the brook's beauty. Well, when answering a multiple choice question, the best way to answer it is to first eliminate the answers that are obviously incorrect. And in this case, A, C, and D are incorrect, and hence the correct answer here would be B. The speaker admires the natural landscape around him. And now let us say 6.10.4. It says refer to stanza 3 and it says, why is the following statement false? And it says the place is overgrown with fern. Let us go to stanza 3. Stanza 3 we have already read, and it says decked with dew, dappled with dew are the groins of the braes that the brook treads through, wiry heathpacks, flitches of fern, and the big bonny ash that sits over the burn. We would say that this statement is incorrect because here it says that we have wiry heathpacks and flitches of fern. These flitches of fern simply imply that there are patches. So we can say there are flitches of fern, and hence this implying that there are patches, meaning it is not completely or it is not overgrown with fern trees. Right, let's go to 6.10.5. It says, what is the speaker's state of mind in lines 13 to 14? And substantiate your view. Let's go to line 13 and 14. It says, what would the world be once bereft of word and wildness? Let them be left. 6.10.5, we can say that the speaker's state of mind is he is in despair. If you don't want to say he is in despair, you can say maybe that he is in anguish. Or you can say that he is in distress. Or you can say he is desperate. So you can write here and say desperation. Or you can just say desperate, however you see it fit. And then answering it, substantiating of the view, we would say that the speaker asks a question. See here, it says, what would the world be once bereft of word and wildness, and let them be left? This question mark here represents a rhetorical question. Now, a rhetorical question is usually used to force the reader to imagine an outcome, or to force the reader to understand or make one question their certain abilities. So here we can say that the speaker asks a rhetorical question. So let's say he asks a rhetorical question. He asks a rhetorical question to force the reader to imagine a world without vegetation or trees or plants. So here it's vegetation. Now, or you can say that a world that lacks natural beauty. Right, and now let us go to 6.10.6. This is a theme. We need to cancel some of the things we wrote at the top, so we may create a bit of space for the ones that are yet to come. Okay, 6.10.6. 6.10.6 says, one of the themes in this poem is preservation of nature. Discuss this theme. Well, if we are going to discuss this theme, we obviously can see that the poet is trying to he is pleading to us to just let nature be, right? So we can say that the speaker has a great concern for nature and wildness. Now, he feels that natural places should not be destroyed. Should not be destroyed because of man's search for wealth. He means that things like mining, fishing, and everything should not be indulged in. So, of man's search for wealth. You can also say that he persuades mankind to see how lacking the world would be without the wet and wild areas. Now you can continue to say that he emphasizes his view. By repeating that the nature must be left as it is, and weeds, which are generally undesirable, must be left to flourish in their natural wild habitats. We see this through the use of the rhetorical questions and his use of imagery, which just implies that he is trying to plead and ask us as human beings to preserve nature, because he believes that the world would not be a better place without the vegetation, without the water and the natural beauty. Okay, now we have 6.10.7. It says the poem is more relevant today than it was in 1881, and it says discuss your view. Now when a question says discuss, it wants you to give a stance, whether you agree or you disagree. If you agree, you have to state that yes, and if you do not agree, you have to state no. So let us start with yes. This will be 6.10.7. Now let's start with yes. In yes, we can say that now, okay, let me say right now in the world we are at the height of the Industrial Revolution, with so much civilization going on. So we are at the height of the Industrial Revolution, and there is a lot of destruction in nature in search of wealth, building. No, the spelling is wrong. In search of wealth, building, infrastructure, or other human activities. You can also further explain that the world is experiencing global warming, and natural disasters due to the destruction of nature. Right, so right now in this world we are experiencing literally a national crisis of global warming, natural disasters. You can find that there was a fire outbreak somewhere, there was flooding somewhere, there were no trees, there was like a lot of things are happening due to this civilization going on. So I believe that this is relevant now than in 1881, because back then there was a lot of trees, there was less let's say industrial revolution, there was less industrialization going on, there was less civilization, and people literally did not really care much about civilization in terms of technological development. So this is why this phase is relevant. And now let's go to no. Oops, I don't have space. Okay, let's clear this just a little bit so we may provide space. You may excuse my handwriting, it's a bit bad. Okay, now let's go to no. Okay, so we can say that the Industrial Revolution, as it is having its natural impact, we can say that the Industrial Revolution was not good from the beginning. Even in the speaker's time. We can further say that if it had been curbed then, if you don't want to say curb, you can say combated, combat then it would not have been a huge problem now. And in closing, we can say that it was relevant in that century. Two, as we notice that the speaker was against the destruction of nature. Right, so we can say it is not relevant now than then, because this literally in the 1800s, that is when the Industrial Revolution started happening. So we can say that if this Industrial Revolution had been stopped then, now we would not be facing an international crisis of global warming and the rest. So hence we are saying that no, it is not relevant now than it was then. That will be all for our session. Let's meet in the next one, where we further answer questions based on IINVERSNAID. Bye.